Okay, so I don't really like the word regret. So I wouldn't call these like my main actual regrets because I have learned a lot from everything. However, these are the things that I wonder what would have happened and how my college experience would have gone had I done it differently. Hey Maddsters! Welcome back. So today's video is going to be about the 5 main things that could have been different had I redone college. I would have just reconsidered doing these things. Before we get started, as always, go check out my Maddsters Guide to Michigan. Literally everything that you need to know about Michigan. Number 1, I would say my biggest thing that I wish I could have done differently was joining clubs earlier. And so this is kind of like multi-fold and has a lot of different factors going into it. Freshman year, as many of you guys know, I was a manager on the varsity gymnastics team. Really great experience just because I got exposure to sports management because that was an area of interest that I originally had. I got to work with an awesome team. I got to see the inside of a very, very highly regarded program, a D1 team. I got to meet a lot of people and it was a very great experience. However, the time commitment was just like so much. I wish that I had more time in order to join other clubs. And as I've said before, clubs are the main way to make your friends. And so that was just really difficult for me because I feel like I was like straddling the middle. I couldn't fully commit myself to the gymnastics managing just because the other part of me wanted to also join other clubs and try new things. And also when I was a freshman, I was so nervous to join clubs just because like I didn't even know what I was interested in. I didn't know what was out there. I didn't know where to start. And so that's why I started my club called Michigan Meetups. To be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with this. It's kind of more of a way for people to meet each other, very low stakes. There's no set interest. It's not a specific pre-med club. It's not a specific pre-law club. It's just like an anybody club. I really want to show you guys like Ann Arbor, so we could do like restaurant tours or like walks around Ann Arbor. It might turn into like a walking club. Who knows? And so just kind of trying to give my knowledge to you through that way in a very, very low stakes environment. So not only can you meet people, you get to learn more about Ann Arbor, you get to like learn more about the school in general. See me at Festival. I will be there alone, so come say hi. Joining a club that was just a starting point into finding a group of friends, if I had done that freshman year, I think it would have made freshman year as a whole a little bit better, as well as sophomore year much better. So definitely that's something that I really wish I could have done and started sooner. My second thing that I wish I would have done differently is kind of let go of my high school identity earlier. And so as I mentioned before, I was the team manager for the varsity gymnastics team. And that was because I had done gymnastics literally since I was 4 years old. So all throughout high school, everyone knew me within my community. Like I was literally like in the newspapers for gymnastics. So everyone knew me because I did gymnastics. And so that was just such a huge part of my identity. And then you go into college and most students aren't athletes. So going in and just like totally losing your identity as a student athlete. I was super involved in a ton of clubs. Like I knew a lot of people in my high school. A lot of people knew who I was. I was on, student council and stuff. And so just losing all of that was really difficult for me, which is why I kind of held on to the gymnastics managing portion. However, I think it would have served me better had I just like totally removed myself from the super intense gymnastics and maybe just focused a little bit more on club, which is way more low-key, as well as branching out into other club gymnastics. It's really, really hard because your high school identity is kind of what has carried you majority of your life if you've been in the same hometown. I think it's really important for you to learn how to just be like, okay, this is a whole new setting. I'm no longer this specific person that I was in high school. Like this is your time to just figure something out. So I wish I would have, kind of cut the ties off sooner rather than dragging it out because I think that slowed down my personal growth and development. Okay, another thing that I wish I would have done differently was dropping my sorority earlier. So I do not regret rushing. I think rushing was a really interesting experience. And if you're remotely interested in Rush and Greek life, I think you should do it. So I don't regret doing that. I think I gained a lot of insights about Greek life in general, which I can then share with you guys. So I love that aspect of it. However, I feel like I should have dropped at the end of my sophomore year rather than letting it trickle into my summer between sophomore and junior year, and then into junior year I dropped a month, like in September of junior year. I just think I had too much of a high hope for sororities. I've always wanted like a big group of girlfriends, which just has never really worked out for me very well, to be honest. And so I wish I would have just dropped the sorority when I realized I was no longer really gaining anything from it. It was a really big source of like stress, and I didn't really enjoy it, rather than holding out for longer. But if you get to a point where you feel like, you know, this isn't really enjoyable for me, I don't really want to be here, you should just drop. There's really no big consequence in dropping. My fourth issue is deciding my major, and so I was very, very undecided for the first 2 years. Obviously, as everyone else, I came in pre-med, learned pretty quickly that I did not want to do that. But after that, I just took a ton of my requirements and distributions, and it got to the point where sophomore year, they're like, okay, like you need to figure out a major. And at that point, I was like, okay, all I have is psych, and because I've taken a couple psych classes, literally 2 psych classes, and I had AP credit, so technically 3 psych classes. I was like, well, I'm already like kind of on track to there, so might as well do that. And I just wish I would have had a better idea of all the other career options out there. An error on my part, just because when I decided I didn't want to be pre-med, I didn't do much exploration outside of it. I was just kind of like, oh, like whatever. So I wish I would have done some more career exploration earlier once I decided I didn't want to go the original route that I was going. If you're undecided, it's totally fine. But I would say you need to do some career exploration, like set up some coffee chats, do some informational interviews, just to get a feeling of where you would want to go. And finally, going off of that, my 5th thing that I wish I would have thought through a little bit more has been my study abroad. I studied abroad in Copenhagen, Denmark, and really that was the result of me choosing my major late. I had a specific set of psych requirements that I had to fulfill abroad in order to graduate on time. And so that really, really narrowed down the number of programs I could apply to and the locations I could go to. So had I done this differently, and this is what most people do, so hopefully it won't be an issue for you, but they fulfill their major requirements, you know, their freshman and sophomore year while on campus. Whenever they go abroad, they do more of their distribution abroad, just because it's easier for the classes to transfer over when they're more broad and more elective versus extremely major specific. Had I figured out my major a little bit earlier, I think it would have just given me more opportunity to go somewhere else in Europe, rather than single me into, Maddie, this is the only program that you can even fulfill anything in. And so it wasn't that like Copenhagen, Denmark was bad, but I do wonder what it would have been like had I done a different program somewhere else, what my abroad experience could have been. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. My college experience has been very, very, very much different than the majority of people that I know. I feel like I've been able to experience many, many different aspects of college life, athletics, Greek life, going abroad. And so my college experience is not like anyone else's really. But I would say in general, you really need to join clubs, go check out Michigan meetups when you come to campus, and really kind of just do more exploration. Just trying to learn more about what you can do career-wise as early as possible is great. And then also getting out of things that you don't think serve you is totally fine too. So I think that would be my biggest advice. Once again, I don't want to say I really regret anything, but had I done this over, I think I would have thought through those decisions more than I did. I'm just super excited to go into senior year. And to be honest, for some reason, I'm like a little nervous, which I don't know why I'm nervous. I think it's because like last year was so fun. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what if this year is not fun? But I think this year will be fun because I'll get to meet you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, let me know if you have any other questions. Please say hi to me on campus. It's amazing. See you guys very soon. Bye, Maddsters.